Senator Weiner and Senator Atkins, adjournment and memories. Senator Weiner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it's with great sadness that I rise today to ask that the Senate adjourn in memory of a great San Franciscan, Mike Hardemen, who passed away last month at the age of 79. For those of you who don't know, and you may recognize that last name, Mike is the father of someone we all know and respect, Nick Hardemen, the Pro Tem's Chief of Staff. And the Pro Tem joins me in this adjourn in memory, and I know we'll be speaking directly afterwards. Mike was a third-generation San Franciscan and was born in 1943. He attended Mission Dolores Grammar School and graduated from Balboa High School. He was, to put it mildly, a San Francisco labor leader. First beginning as a bottler at breweries, he became an apprentice sign painter in 1962, a journeyman in 1966, and a pictorial artist in 1968. He was a member of Local 510, the Sign and Display Union, and that's how I first got to know Mike. He was really embodied that local on so many levels. He, for over 30 years, served on the San Francisco Labor Council Executive Board. I don't know how any human being could actually survive 30 years on the executive committee of our Labor Council, which is, shall we say, rambunctious, to say the least. He was also a delegate to the San Francisco Building Trades Council. I served on the board of directors of OPIU Local 3, the Pension and Health Trust Fund, and on the Bay Area Catholic Labor Committee. He contributed throughout his entire life to San Francisco, served on the board of directors of the Angel Island Immigration Station, on the board of the Consumer Federation of California, Serenity House, the San Francisco 49ers Community Advancement Panel, the San Francisco Convention and Visitors Bureaus, and literally dozens of other organizations. He was an elected member of the Democratic County Central Committee in San Francisco and served on various city commissions, including our Human Rights Commission, our Public Utilities Commission, our Port Commission, the Fire Commission. None of these were small San Francisco commissions. These are hard, contentious commissions, but Mike is someone who was able to handle that leadership with grace. He also served on the Respiratory Care Board of California, and at the time of his death was a member of the California State Athletic Commission. And I actually remember when he was about to come to the Rules Committee for confirmation and appointment to that commission. This is someone who had done so much, so many big things in his life, and then coming to the Athletic Commission, and I got a call from him on my cell phone, and he's like, "Hey, Scott, do you think you could put in a good word for me with the Rules Committee?" And I said, "Mike, I think you're going to be okay." But I put in a good word because Mike asked me to, and that conversation actually said so much about Mike, because this is someone, again, who had done so much, who was a big, big deal, and he took nothing for granted, was not presumptuous about anything, had not a shred, not an ounce of arrogance or presumptuousness in his entire body. And that's just one of the just profoundly powerful things about Mike Hardemen. He received countless awards from the Labor Council, from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, from the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, and so forth. He also was an artist. He painted campaign banners for decades of San Francisco elected officials. He created sports banners for San Francisco high school sports teams, birthday signs for family birthdays. He painted a portrait of Phil Burton, the great Phil Burton, at Burton High School. I also just want to say on a personal level, for decades, Mike was everywhere. You would just see him at event after event. He never got tired of showing up for the community because he loved San Francisco so much. He was one of the kindest, most respectful people I've ever met in my life. And we know that in politics and in the world of labor, it can get really rough and tumble. And there are times when people aren't always as respectful as they need to be. And Mike understood that you could be passionate and powerful in your advocacy while still treating other people with a basic level of respect and dignity. And he did that 24/7. He was a loving husband, father, and papa or grandfather. He's survived by his beloved wife, Marina, his children, Monica, Nick, and Greg, his daughter-in-law, Katie, his grandchildren, Evan, Gracie, Damian, and Alexandra, his siblings, Linda and Ron, and he's preceded in death by his parents, Olga and Vince, daughter Micheal, and brother Vince. Mike, rest in peace. We love you, and I ask that the Senate adjourn in Mike Hardemen's memory.
Thank you, Senator Weiner. Next up is Pro Tem Atkins. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You can see it's been a difficult couple of months for the 39th Senate District. I want to start by saying thank you to the good senator from San Francisco for setting the stage on an incredible life, that of Mike Hardemen. It is appropriate and right, given that the senator had the fortune to see Mike in real action for the last several decades in the city by the Bay. So I want to thank you for that. By the time I met Mike Hardemen, he had retired from many of those endeavors mentioned by the senator. But I do need to say, because he was very proud of this, his birthday was July 4th, and he was very patriotic, and he was so proud that he was born on July 4th. I got to see Mike and his wife, Marina, arrive to take care of and spoil just two of the grandkids, Damian and Alex. I got to watch his daughter-in-law, Katie, play soccer while he entertained his grandkids on the sidelines and cheered Katie on. That was the Mike Hardemen I got to meet. And I got to see photos of those great original special signs after special occasions, signs painted for the kids on birthdays and other holidays, dinosaurs, unicorns, and Easter bunnies. I saw a proud father and an energetic grandpa. When we learned of Mike Hardemen's passing, a shock to so many, I then got to see the statements pour in about Mike, about his accomplishments, what he meant to some of the most successful and storied elected officials in the Bay Area, in California, and in our nation's capital, as well as many of the regular everyday folks that he interacted with. I loved going to DC, and when I would go and my chief of staff would accompany me to see Senator Feinstein or Speaker Pelosi, I would, of course, introduce Nick Hardemen and then be interrupted by powerful people to say, "Hardemen, where are you from?" And the next thing I knew, we would be listening to stories about Mike Hardemen from the U.S. senators or from the speaker. But, you know, I couldn't help but reflect on the impact and legacy he left for so many through his service and in so many directions. You know, it occurred to me he lived his best life, using his interests and his passions to fuel all that he did. How many of us could hope to have this impact or reaction in our passing? As the senator from San Francisco said, in a world where so much can go wrong, Mike was always there giving of himself and all his talents to make it right. It's a quality I see embodied in his son, Nick, my incredible chief of staff, who carries the values, the compassion, and tireless work ethic that his dad passed on to him. You know, I often think about sayings exist for a reason. The fruit does not fall far from the tree comes to mind, and I thought about that as I thought about all the great statements I heard about Mike Hardemen. He was a good, hardworking man, truly one of the best. His legacy will live through the workplaces he bettered, the workers he fought for, and the family he loved more than anything else. So, again, to his wife Marina, to the children Monica, Nick, and Greg, his grandchildren Evan, Gracie, Damian, Alexandra, his siblings Linda and Ron, and to the extended family, we acknowledge Mike today, and we give you our sympathies. So, colleagues, I ask you to join me and the senator from San Francisco in recognition of San Francisco's own Mike Hardemen.